Hey, what's good, guys? My name's Chris.
And I'm Jodi.
And today we've got something wildly different. This has been something that we have talked about for what feels like over a year now.
Forever.
Yeah. Originally it was going to be the Just Wing It podcast and things like that, but it's eventually kind of like morphed and changed, at least in my mind, not physically, because there's still going to be changes made if we continue doing this. So while this isn't final, I decided to take my own advice essentially and just start. Because this is not the way that I want it to look or feel or anything like that, but I did want to get something out there sooner than later. Granted, a year plus is this. We were talking about this during COVID. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so like this is just something that I've had on my mind for a while. I believe Mrs. Wing over here named the show, so it's going to be called WearTesters Unlaced. You did come up with that, right?
I did.
Okay.
I really did.
Yeah. So like I said, it was going to be like the Just Wing It podcast and stuff like that, and none of it felt right to me. So and you know, now we're here. But basically this is going to be episode 1 of what I hope is many, but that really depends on a variation of factors. One of which would be you guys and the support that we see for content like this. Obviously most of that relies on us as content creators. So if we're not creating the content that you're interested in, then obviously there's not going to be interest in that. And so with that, we would then cancel the show and everything, which I usually do anyways. I'm not afraid to try something, and if it doesn't work, then I just don't do it again. You know what I mean? So again, episode 1, WearTesters Unlaced. We've got a loose schedule, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So segment 1 is called Sneaker News, and it's going to be real simple and real easy. All I'm doing is going to Instagram and to Sneaker News, like the website sneakernews.com, their actual Instagram page, because theirs is set up super easy, so I can literally like look at the current news cycle. And I'm just going to talk about a couple of things. We'll get Jodi's thoughts on it, and we'll keep it moving. I was going to start with something. I'm going to have my phone with me, by the way. Hopefully that's not distracting. But I was going to start something a little bit earlier in the news cycle, but this just popped up today, so I have to talk about it. But the Air Jordan 9 in the original dark powder blue colorway is confirmed to release, supposedly true to original tech specs. I hope that means that left shoe's Jumpman is facing the right way. If it's not, you f***ed up again, Jordan Brand. But so far, I know that this is not your favorite. Actually, you do have a pair of 9s.
I do.
So I just know that powder blue is not your favorite color.
Powder blue is not my favorite color.
What about dark powder blue?
Dark powder blue is more palatable to me.
Okay. Well, for me, I've always loved this shoe ever since seeing this promo image and stuff, and I just think it's awesome. One of our Discord members, actually, Sneaker Gallery, he has an original pair, and I've only seen the shoe as a retro. I think we reviewed it a long time ago. But the original shoe did not have the 23 on the heel.
Okay.
And yeah, and it looks really weird. Like I said, used to seeing it on the retro and on every shoe, like every Jordan 9, like there's some sort of number somewhere. So yeah, so it just looks a little blank. But if it's true to original form, it won't have the 23 on the back. It should have the left, you know, midsole, outsole things, Jumpman's facing the right way, like towards the toe. Hopefully they're comfortable. Hopefully the leather is nice, because that was the thing where I do regret not picking them up. It was our friend JP. It was his pair. He picked them up, and I was just like, the leather sucks. And so I didn't get the shoe, but then I've always regretted it because I love the colorway. And so yeah, so it's just one of those things that, you know, I haven't been willing to spend retail or whatever on it just because it is a shoe overall. So like I actually value my money. But yeah, so that's my thoughts. I'm excited, but I'm also cautiously optimistic. You know what I mean? Like hopefully it's actually good. We'll see. The second shoe is the Nike Mac Attack, but the Travis Scott version. Actually, you go ahead and start your thoughts on that. What do you think about those?
I think we need to stop hyping up so many different shoes. Like, let the shoe stand on its own. There's always a collaboration within any new spin of a retro, and it's exhausting. Okay.
Well, we'll talk about that later, because we're going to recap our Portland trip towards the end of this show. I probably should have given a rundown.
It's okay. You're learning and evolving with us.
Right. People. You're just here with me. On the ride. This is pretty natural. It's not going to be as jump cutty as the reviews and stuff, even though I love jump cut.
I'm excited about editing this, if I can be frank.
Well, I'm going to edit a lot of it too, because I want it to look the way that I want first and then mimic the style, which is like how everything started in the first place. So like it's going to be one of those things. So I just hope that it comes out nicely. So we'll see. To your point, I think that it's sad that a brand with so much heritage of its own now has to rely on trickery to trick the consumer into thinking something's cool. That's basically what a collab is nowadays. It used to be that the shoe was cool and that the collab partner was cool, so they were doing something cool together. Now the brand is just like, hey, this shoe, nobody knows about it, so stick it on his feet and see what happens. And I think that that is a bad move. You're only doing like a short-term fix, you know what I mean? And you're doing it with the short-term consumer. These consumers are only here until they're not. That's what we're seeing currently right now in the sneaker field. Sales are way down for Nike. Your collab doesn't work, bro. Kobe 6 Protro Reverse Grinch. Are they going to be available or attainable? Probably not. What do you think? What do you think about the shoe?
I don't like them.
Why?
Because it's so bright.
Do you like the first Grinch?
I've seen it so much for so long that it's just kind of like, yeah, that's just what it is.
Oh, so you're just used to it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is different?
Yeah.
And you're not a fan?
No. I mean, neon green as bright as it is, that's like, I don't know, you're burning my retinas.
That I don't feel is a hit on, you know, Nike heritage, like way back in the day, like the Total Max Up Tempos and stuff like that with the black and volts, like even going back to the original 90s and the Air Max 90s, not literally like the years, like the 90s or the era, but you know, volt's been a color in like a staple in the brand.
But do it as a splash, not your entire foot.
That's the thing, is that those Grinches were unique because of that, and I think that they're dope. Plus it's the best Kobe model ever, like to play in, or at least my favorite. But yeah, I think that they're cool for what they are. I do feel that the original is better, but if it means more Protros or more opportunity for people to get the shoe so that they can then assess on a basketball court, hopefully, whether or not they think it's their favorite Kobe to play in, then that's really what I care about. So,
and I understand that. Like,
yeah.
I do think that there should be more opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's your first time getting one, like, I understand you being like super stoked about it and
right.
feeling a certain way towards it.
That's the fun part about a bring back or a retro. Not only are older people able to relive the glory days or whatever, but then it gives these newer kids an opportunity to have their own glory days, and I think that that's really cool, so long as it's attainable. That's the main thing. Like, I don't want to bash anybody, I just know things, because obviously, like, we have, you know, relationships and things like that, like beyond just the cameras. I mean, good luck. I'm not going after a pair. Let's just put it that way. So now that sneaker news is out of the way, we're gonna go into the shoes we didn't review because lack of interest, unfortunately. So what I was kind of alluding to earlier is that back in the day, when I first started the channel and everything, from 2009 to, I don't know, like 2010, 11, 12, maybe a little bit more than that, like further than that, but feels fairly recent. Interest level on select shoes have just gone way down. It could just be interest in sneakers in general, but obviously there's some brands that just really don't garner a lot of interest. I still do individual reviews on the ones that I'm personally really interested in, that I do feel like I could sit there and talk for X amount of time and make a decent video out of, but there's a lot of them that either we get them in just late, by the time it's late, it's old as far as like news cycle goes on the YouTube space. So those are the ones where like they get kind of like shuffled under the rug. And then there's other ones where I've already reviewed the shoe, but maybe I reviewed it in a different colorway. And unlike a Jordan, which is really weird, but unlike a Jordan, I can't sit there and I don't even know how that works.
It's those beautiful B-roll shots you do where, yeah, you're regurgitating a lot of the same information, but you're also giving like beautiful pan shots up close of the leather and
I don't know,
showing you creasing the toe boxes.
Well, I just think it's weird that I could sit there and talk about an Air Jordan 1 a billion times and everybody's cool with that, even though I know that not everybody is, but like they still watch, and I'm really grateful for it. But like it's just weird that I can do that, but if I dare I talk about a Reebok Question, a favorite shoe of mine,
Yeah.
people are like, yeah, no more questions. It's like, I find it very strange. So I don't know if it's just overall popularity. Jordan is just that much greater than every other sneaker line. I don't know, but like, it's just very weird. So these are the shoes that we didn't review for one reason or another. So this is the first one. This is a Reebok Answer. These are the Answer 4s. Not just any Answer 4. This is a special one in history. In my opinion, this is the sneaker free agency era for Kobe Bryant. So not only was this Allen Iverson's shoe, one of my favorite players of all time, but this was also Kobe's PE that never actually hit retail, not until recently. So we've got these. They still feature a lot of the same tech as the latest retro renditions. So there was a time, like the older, I can't even remember the years, but I had reviewed the shoe and it didn't have like the DMX iPack, the air transfer system. These guys do. There is an iPack in there, so there's an air unit here and then connected via chamber.
You can feel it squishes underneath.
Yeah, and once you step, it just pushes the air forward, and when you step on your toe, it relieves it and pushes it back. Still has reflective right here. Not all the way in the midsole though, where it's supposed to. It's supposed to come down all the way and wrap around the heel and stuff. It does not do that. I do believe this back heel is reflective. Hopefully I can get some B-roll shots of that. This is more of the PE version for AI himself. So it's got the pull tab and the little like strap in the front. Actually, I think the pull tab was on the originals. I think it was the lows that they took them off of. I could be wrong. Either way, this is more like his version of the shoe that he would wear on court and less like the version that we would actually see at retail. But again, special shoe because it's the first time that it came out like this for Kobe.
They still have the ugly insole where it's his arm with his tattoos, just to let you guys know.
The non-sneakerhead review.
The people on this channel like to know about insoles. I'm giving the people what they want.
The insoles are just to let you know. And I'm not talking about the graphic. I like the graphic. I'm just saying the insole itself is a piece of crap.
I've seen these, but they were covered in dirt online.
Oh yes, those were dumb and very overpriced. This is the Reebok Pump TZ, Omnizone TZ. I can't remember what they called them. Hold on.
It is the Pump TZ.
It is the Pump TZ. Okay.
Sorry, I have to tag.
Oh, my bad. It's just, they're two shoes in one. Technically a hybrid.
Yes, it's with the tennis player, right?
No.
No.
That was the Michael Chang and Shacknosis, or Shack Attacks, not Shacknosis. But yeah, these have the Reebok Omnizone bottoms, but then the actual Reebok Pump TZ or Twilight Zone upper. This is an original colorway for the Twilight Zone. Some people love it, some people hate it. I actually don't mind it. Obviously the colorway is something, so like that's like kind of like drawing me to it. The original system on the bottom as far as cushioning goes for the Twilight Zone was ERS, and those are like individual tubes that spring down and up when you put your pressure on them. They almost work like an Air Max unit, which is interesting. But now they changed it to the fake Hexalite, and this is by far the worst Hexalite I've seen. It's so shallow, it's not even, it looks like a sticker. It's just bad. It's bad business, Reebok. So yeah, the materials are okay. It's a mixture between actual leathers and synthetics. Most of the actual leathers are in the front, synthetics are in the back. You do have a working pump if you can actually get it to work. But yeah, any thoughts on these? I know that they're not your thing.
Well, to throw it back to my thoughts on the reverse Grinches, this is like neon done tastefully.
Where it's minimal?
Yes.
Okay.
So just a splash.
This is 80s and 90s, but I know that he didn't wear these in the movie, but it reminds me of White Man Can't Jump. That shoe, the Command Force, was similar colors. So yeah, I really love the way that these look and the way that most of it turned out. There's just some things where I'm just like, if you're wondering why you can't sell these, Reebok, it's because they're not the same. And that's just all there is to it. You cheap out on certain things, and it's like, why are people going to want to pay that much money for a sticker of Hexalite? It's not literally a sticker, it just really looks like one. It's cheap. Last Reebok, then we will get into Nikes, don't worry. So these guys right here are the Reebok BB 4002 mids. And yeah, these I really like. I love the low tops better or more, but I really like these a lot. I wish that the tongue a little bit was like a little bit different. It is nylon on the base, but the upper portion of the tongue is like a synthetic or like a vinyl. That just, you know, against the ankles and the calves and stuff, or not the calves, but the shins, it just feels a little weird, but I really love the way they turned out. The materials are nice. They're not great or anything, but they're nice. The colorways are pretty clean on the shoe as well. I don't think that I've seen truly a bad one yet. These colors are your thing.
They are.
But is the shoe your thing?
I could get behind it.
Okay. No, yeah. That was short and sweet, to the point.
I'm trying to keep us under a time regimen.
Regimen?
Yeah.
Just like time constraint.
Time constraint.
Yes. These guys right here, the Nike Dunk Low Premium, I believe they called these the switches or something like that. I legit don't remember where I got them from. I got them so long ago. I did have the intent of making a full review of them, but here we are. We just get bombarded sometimes with lots of newer releases that are a little bit more time sensitive, so things again get kind of like lost in the mix. This unfortunately was one of them. I don't dislike the shoe, but to call this premium is just very distasteful towards your consumers, Nike, because there's not a single premium thing on this thing, and that's me putting it very nicely. I love all the like the throwback pieces, the old logos, literally like I don't know if it's split or switch, you know what I mean? I can't remember.
I don't think I like all of the things that are split in half. Like the outsole caught me off guard, yeah. And then that's what made me being like, oh, the swoosh, the logos, everything, and I don't think I like that. Maybe
it's because I've had more time with the shoe, but I think that it's an interesting concept. I don't love it, like I was saying. I think it would be better had it been an actual premium shoe.
Yeah, like if you're gonna do it premium, just do everything elegantly.
The funny thing is that, so the shoe is made out of real leather, which your Dunks most of the time are not, like your black and whites, the Pandas.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I suppose it's premium, but boy, are you using that word loosely. Do they look cool? I believe so. Is that enough? That's up for you to decide. All right, so these are the big bubble Air Max 1s, Obsidian. I want to do a review on these. I just don't know if people care. This is like a niche shoe.
I like them.
Oh, I love them. The shoe is so comfortable compared to regular Air Max 1s. Air Max 1s, I love how they look, but boy, are they uncomfortable sometimes, man. Not all the time, but like certain ones, like the way that they mass produce that, a lot of the midsoles get warped. So you got like weird humps or bubbles and stuff, and it's just so messed up to try and wear that. So yeah, so these ones I just find are just the better of the bunch. I love everything about them though, even the synthetics that they use and stuff. It's just more close. We just saw the original when we were where we were. I'm telling you, man, like they did a good job recreating this. Like it's wild to see that. But yeah, I think that it's a good shoe, super comfortable. I love the huge bubble. Some people don't. What do you think?
Like I said, I like them.
Oh,
My
yeah, you
only
already did say
critique
that. Sorry.
is that the colors are so light that I would instantly make them gross looking.
It's funny that you say that because like she's not like a sneakerhead. She's married to one. You know what I mean?
I didn't choose the sneaker life. The sneaker life chose me.
Something like that. It's always funny because sneakerheads think way different than a regular consumer. And consumers think in that sense. Some sneakerheads do as well, but we always have a nostalgic tie to something that outweighs usually like a Concord 11, the mesh upper. We all know that it doesn't last, but man, when they're new, they look awesome, you know what I mean? So like we buy them every time. So like it's just one of those things where sometimes you can ignore it, sometimes you can't. But as a regular consumer, it's always interesting to hear your thoughts. You would pass on something like this simply because of that.
Only because I haven't had this shoe, but I've had enough
Air
similar
Maxes.
looking
Yeah.
shoes, and I instantly like I'm gonna wear them out and I will hit myself with a shopping cart, or
I hate
I
when I
will
do
kick
that.
the tire somehow getting out of my car, and
Or Bubsy will just step on you.
my kid will just step on my shoe. So
He breaks my shoes in faster than I do. It's understandable. Again, not enough to make me not buy the shoe though, so clearly there's a difference in people there. All right, so this is the Air Trainer 3 Low. I have a love-hate relationship with this shoe. I love how they look from a profile view. I think that they're so f***ing cool looking. I love this colorway too, but the toe down view, which is most of you guys know what I always see.
is it that?
It's this toe inlay panel.
Oh.
Where the shoe is straight, and I guess the line is straight. It just something about it. Maybe it's the way that the rubber only wraps around a portion of the toe box, but like it makes it look crooked.
It makes it look like it's giving you extra room for your big toe.
Or like the shoe has a bunion and it's about to give you one. That's the only thing that I don't love about these. So I usually get a pair whenever they release, and then I usually never wear them, and then I get rid of them. But this one, man, I could not pass up. This looks so good. I think I have an old 80s jumpsuit, like a
you
windbreaker
do.
suit that looks like this. I actually got it from eBay. I believe it's a women's suit, which
It
I didn't know until I got it. But it's got like leopard print on there. It didn't look like that from the pictures on eBay. But when I got it in, I was like, what the hell? I think I bought grandma's suit, man. But it'll look good with the shoes.
This is Kelly Kapowski if she was a shoe.
Oh my God, it is. I would give these 5 out of 5 Kelly Kapowskis. Shout out if you know what that means. Okay, last one. This is the Nike Mac Attack OG colorway. Simple, white, black. Little bit of red right there on the tongue branding.
Can I just say what I know what you're going to love about this shoe?
Go ahead.
Just how the leather creases.
Oh, I just love everything about these, man. These are so dope. Shout out to, which we'll shout out everybody as much as possible, but Sneaker Preservation Society on Instagram. His name is Andrew. He wore an original pair of the gray ones. And I'm just like, bro, like they were together, which was super impressive. And I love this colorway. I think he does too. Like I know that we were just talking about him, like me and him. I really like these, man. I don't know why people don't. Like how could you like a Jordan 1 but not this? I just think that these, even back then, were just ahead of their time. Do you like them? You don't like them? What do you think?
I think they're fine.
So she doesn't like them. That's what that means.
No, I would definitely tell you if I didn't like them.
Oh, I
just
know.
think they're mid.
Whoa. Wow. That means she doesn't like them.
No, mid.
Mid's not a good thing.
Mid should just mean like meh. Like they're meh.
Then why not just say meh?
They're meh.
So yeah. So this is going to be to kind of like offset all the shoes we didn't review. This is our favorite shoe that we did review, kind of an in case you missed it moment. If this show is weekly, which we haven't decided yet, but if it's weekly, then it'll just be based off of what we reviewed this week. If it's bi-weekly, obviously we've got 2 weeks to choose from. You've already stated off camera that because this is episode 1 and we have not done this before, you're saying the rules and you're gonna go as far back as you want.
I'm not going back that far. I'm going back 3 weeks.
That's pretty far. I'll let you go first.
Okay, so my favorite shoe that we reviewed is more so from an editing standpoint, not because I love the shoe, but just because I had fun working on it. That was the Rigger AR1, the Austin Reeves signature shoe.
What was your favorite moment in the video then?
I somehow was able to, and it's not because I'm saying he's Napoleon Dynamite, but just I was able to put so much Napoleon Dynamite into the editing that it like told this beautiful story that I wasn't planning on doing. It entertained me, so that's why I am picking that video, and you all should go back and watch it if you missed it.
For me, this is actually hard. So you went back 3 weeks?
I did.
Can I go back 2 months?
Of course you can.
Okay.
We make the rules.
That is true. We did this video called One of the Greatest Basketball Shoes of All Time, and it's where I finally talked about the Pippen 2s. I've had that shoe almost my whole YouTube career. I just love that shoe, and that was also the catalyst point to what we're going to talk about later. But that was just a really surreal moment for me, where not only did I get to talk about the sneaker, but I talked to the person that made it. You don't ever really get that chance, you know what I mean, unless you're like at a Comic-Con or something like that. And that's where like you'll meet the voice actor, or you'll meet Stan Lee, or I'm at the Green Power Ranger, rest in peace to Jason David Frank, and you know, you meet the people that create the stuff that's shaped your life. And so that was just a really awesome moment, and so I had no idea it was going to get more awesome. But like,
I can see that too though, because even if you're meeting your hero at a con, you're constrained to a certain amount of minutes, and you are surrounded by people, and it's a very like compact thing.
That's actually a good point. I didn't even think about that. Ours was intimate. Yes,
it was intimate. He was great on camera with you, and he gave you plenty of before time and after time. The video ended up being like 25 minutes, but I swear we spent like almost 2 hours with him.
Oh, we did. I talked to him at least for 30 minutes before we even hit record. I don't even know what to say about that. You know what I mean? For somebody to give you that much time out of their day and everything was awesome. But then when we were done recording, we just kept talking like we were friends, you know? And we've become, I use the term friends or friend not loosely, like it's like a special word for me. So like I do consider Aaron a friend now, and who knew? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just weird. Like even just saying it, like I feel wrong, but feels right at the same time. Yeah, it was just a really great video, I think, or great to do. I don't know if it was great final product, but like
it was a great final product.
It was fun. Well, that's the thing. I've only tooted my own horn like a handful of times, and apparently you're not allowed to do that anymore. So I tend not to give myself kudos or whatever, just because like I don't want to be perceived as cocky or anything like that. But I was proud of the video. I'll just say that. So timeout is something that I did, I think once, and then it just didn't get a warm reception. And so I canceled the series, but now it's back, but it's gonna be a smaller segment. In here, a lot of you guys talk to me, not only on social media, but also on our Discord. Like, hey, what did you pick up outside of sneakers? Like, what is your other passion? And for me, comic books, action figures, these are all the things that I was into before shoes. I'm only into shoes because I started playing basketball. Outside of that, like, I don't think that any of this would have happened, you know what I mean? Because like there would be no reason for me to be interested in it. Unlike today where like kids are into it for multiple reasons. So some of the stuff that I grabbed just recently, and there's a lot of it, but this is only some of it. So I actually grabbed this guy right here in Portland. I can't remember the name of the store. We went to a couple of them, but this guy right here, I already have him. I have one of them upstairs. He's in a little case and everything, but this was my very first Snake Eyes action figure. This is, I believe, the 4th edition. Not the most popular. It might be one of the least popular, actually. It's my favorite, and I just absolutely love this guy. I think that he is fantastic. He came complete. My other one is complete too. I wanted one to play with, which sounds weird. You know, I wanted to like pose him and stuff. You know how like people are like fidgety? That's me. Posing figures, like I just like to, it helps me relax and stuff. So I thought it was awesome. And then when we got home, I went to a toy show that's done locally here about once a month. My friend Andrew, he actually owns Toy Fusion. If you've never been there and you're in Sacramento, go check it out. It's a really cool vintage style toy store and stuff. But on Sundays, once a month roughly, he'll do like a big toy show where like vendors come out and all that stuff. So that's where I got all of these. So I got this bad girl right here. The G.I. Joe movie, the animated movie, is one of my favorite things ever. I watched that VHS on repeat so many times. Like I love just the intro. Anyways, this girl in that movie, her name is Jinx. She was a kick-ass character, man. Like she blindfolded herself. She still whooped his ass. I think that she's a really cool figure. I've never owned it before. before, so I was able to get this for a really good price, and I absolutely love her. And then we've got Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow is so sick, dude. This guy's costume might be one of the best ever, like ninja costumes. And it's weird to think about that because normally you think like not white ninjas, but like black ninjas. But this guy was different, bro. Like he had a white suit, like, and I was like, what the it was sick. It's more like karate, you know what I mean, with like a gi. This is not his original suit, but I still really like the way that this one came out. He's also in great condition. I love his backpack and how it holds all this stuff. I have all of the new classified stuff, by the way, so like if you are wondering like, oh, do you buy? Yes, I buy it all. I'm really into shoes, but I am really into comics and action figures. So you don't know, but like we're surrounded by them right now. It's fucking awesome. But I also grabbed these guys right here. This is Deadeye Duck. I don't remember this guy's name. I just rewatched the show and I still forget. But these are characters from a very short-lived comic and short-lived show called Bucky O'Hare. This figure right here I had as a kid. I got him for Christmas one year, and it just has always been one of those figures that like I'm like, I love this and I wish I didn't get rid of it because I thought I was growing up. You don't want to grow up. Growing up sucks. I got an original Bucky and original Deadeye in box. A lot of the toys that I get both. I get two so that I can keep one inside the box, and then I open up one so that me and my son can play with them. And along with these, this is all the same toy show, by the way. So I grabbed this guy right here. I've been slowly checking these all off my box. I just need one more original character from the original run, and that's Juggernaut in box. And then I'll have the original full run. And then I also have, like, if you look at the back, there's just all these other characters and variations. I have the majority of these. So something that's cool that, you know, not only is retro back for, or it's been back for footwear and stuff, but it's also back for toys. These were some of my favorites as a kid. I didn't have all of these. I think the only one that I had as a kid was Splinter and Rocksteady.
I didn't even know they made mutating ones of them.
Yeah. Splinter turned into the Turtle Van of all things. Rocksteady turned into his human form. He was more in line with this. But yeah, these are the mutating turtles. They come in like packages so similar to the originals and stuff. And while they're not the original figures, I do have some of those upstairs and everything in a drawer, but like they're still awesome, dude. And you can grab these over at Target. They're real cheap. I got all 4 of them because, you know, I couldn't not do that. You know, you can't. You know that meme that goes around on Instagram where it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna buy one, and then he's just like, well, actually, now that I have one, I mean, he needs a friend. And then yeah, he's got 2 other brothers. You got to get those too. So yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. Again, they're available exclusively at Target. This is not a plug. I'm just saying, if you were interested in stuff like this and you don't go and hunt down the toy aisles like I do every day, maybe you're interested. Maybe you want to, you know, relive something that is prior to your shoe
addiction.
Yes. Thank you. And speaking of prior, this goes way before Ninja Turtles, but this is, oh my God, this
smells
box.
Like Christmas.
Oh yeah, and he really does, man. He smells like Pine Sol, dude. I have the original of this as well. This is cooler. The flocking feels better. It doesn't flake. He looks so awesome, dude. Like, I love this, man. I eventually found these. Somebody put them on the top shelf.
Can I tell the story?
Go for it.
He's literally like walking down the aisle, and I think we'd hit up a couple stores like a few days in a row, and he was just like, why are they not there? Like, why do they keep advertising them? And then out of nowhere, he just kind of looks up, and these boxes are like barely sticking, like somebody had thrown them up there.
I had seen this part.
It was all, there was 4 of them. And so he pulls them all down and inspects the boxes, is like ecstatic. And then he picks out the 2 boxes that he likes, and then he puts the other 2 on the shelf, and it's just like, so somebody else can find them without being so frustrated.
And hopefully they did find them. Hopefully it was a collector and not a reseller. And then this one I just had to plug because I know that there's a lot of anime fans out there. My son loves Gohan, but Trunks is my guy. You know what I mean? The way that he came in and just murked Frieza and all of his homies, like one of the most epic intros of all time. So yeah, he comes with his Super Saiyan mode. He comes with his regular purple hair, which is my favorite. There is multiple faces. Like, these figure art figures are no joke, bro. Like, these are dope. These might be some of the illest action figures on the market. These and Mafex. Those are the ones where like the posability, the accuracy compared to the source material, bar none, some of the best that you can find. So if you're, again, into action figures, or maybe used to be, and you want to like dive into that, which actually, if you're married or even have a girlfriend, I do not recommend that because they will get mad at you. It's an expensive hobby like shoes. There's so much of it. So, you know, I apologize. But she puts up with it, so yay. All right, so the moment that I think is probably like the coolest, this is where things will change within this series or whatever you want to call it, the show, whatever, where it's not always going to be like a story time at the end. It could be like a Q&A or an Ask Me Anything, but we'll switch it up so it's not like always like redundant and mundane. This time we just have the most epic experience, I think, ever for me. But yeah, like there were some points in time where I just kind of wanted to go like into the corner and just cry a little bit. Like it was like so weird. This was an invite only thing where Aaron Cooper, the designer of many of our favorite basketball shoes, not just signatures, but also a lot of takedown models, he handpicked people. So I wasn't involved in anything. I was just a participant, but he handpicked, I don't want to say anything for him. So, but he handpicked us. He invited us personally to go to this experience, and a lot of the stuff I can't actually talk about. We actually signed an NDA. I think I could say that I signed an NDA.
We can't say what it was for, but we signed it.
Right. So yeah, so there was that, but he invited us and a bunch of others. Nobody paid for our trip or our hotel or anything. Everybody that attended wanted to be there. We paid our own way to get there. It was like what I consider a once in a lifetime experience, especially for me or someone like me. So I'm just gonna pull up his email. It's gonna just give me a second. Hold on, before I say it, does that look like everybody?
For the most part. Our apologies if we...
Yeah, if I missed somebody, I'm really sorry. So the people that were in attendance were Andrew, Sneaker Preservation Society over at Instagram. Donald, on Instagram, I don't know how to say this either. I don't know if it's Kick Sigma or Kicks Igma. Either way, these are some, I'll just keep going. Sorry, I have my brain is starting to like run through the weekend again. Tom over at InStyle Shoes. Steve and Paloma, also known as 23MJ88 or on YouTube as Sneaker Tech Talk. Matt Hatfield from Nice Kicks was there. Seth, Solely Soul, I think.
It's Soul to Soul.
Is it? Oh, that's right. So it's two little I's.
Because Instagram makes everything lowercase.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, I've always read it as Solely Soul.
Yeah, I heard him explaining to somebody that it's supposed to be two.
Yes. Somebody probably took the two. And like, so he probably couldn't use it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seth, like a lot of people on the YouTube like comment and viewer side think that like I'm like some like wealth of knowledge, which I only really know what I know or remember. And this guy is incredible with like the that he knows. I can't even describe well enough or give justice to how insane his knowledge is. Like if you want to know something, he knows it. And then there's Corey on Instagram, Corwoon or Corwoon. I don't know how to say it, but me and him have been friends for a while. Also not on here for some reason, but I'll add it. Was his friend, his best friend Chad. Chad, by the way, is very, very special as a person to me. Sometimes you meet people and like you like click instantly. He was like that. He and I clicked like we were like related or something. Like it was just weird. He made this crazy book, dude. Like it's awesome. It's about him and his kid and about her picking her shoes, and this gets me like choked up because like this is dope as Sophia Chang, Easy May, is that how to say?
I think so.
So we'll have like their Instagram profiles and stuff if you haven't noticed already. And most of you should already know who this is, but my good friend Jacques Slade was also in attendance. Did you want to talk about like the people that we met and stuff like that? The people that spoke to us? These are the people that built the brand.
So there was John Barber, and he's a Nike senior footwear director for 35 plus years in North America. Former, but North America, Europe, and Japan. He was actually one of the first people we met getting on the elevator.
Boy, can I make an impression.
Yes, I believe it was him and was it Ron Hill? Mm-hmm. Also Nike VP Footwear Merchandising Marketplace Management for 26 plus years. And we met them getting ready to go up, and my husband loves to put his foot in his mouth. Chris is just like, hey, like, who are you? Like, how long have you been working with Nike? And they're like, oh, since 1980. And he's just like, wow, that was before I was even born. And then the other guy's like, I'm from 1983. And he's just like, that's the year I was born. So
they laughed about it.
Yes, they were great sports about it. Oh, so anyways, Ron Hill, he was the director of basketball, in part responsible for the reintroduction of the Air Force One. Mm-hmm. Like, are we allowed to explain that?
I don't know. There's stories that we were told.
I feel like this is one that is okay. So back then, Nike obviously was always trying to come up with the newest, the greatest, and latest. New. This guy was just like, I feel like we should bring back the Air Force One. Like, it's really like weighing on my heart.
Because people were asking for it too.
Yes. Finally, somebody was just like, if it's really that important to you, like, why are you sitting here? Like, make that possible. And so he went out and he did it. And that's how the Air Force One had like its resurgence and why it's still such a staple today.
Which is wild.
And then we also met Willie Ebersol, who is a writer, director, sneaker, and sport historian, which I just think that's a really cool job to be like, I'm just gonna really deep dive and nerd out and make sure that none of this information gets lost.
I think that that was one of the key points of emphasis, even though it wasn't emphasized, it was just the vibe. But everybody that was there was kind of like, I don't want to call them like an expert in their field, but it was definitely like that type of vibe where like everybody that was there kind of knew a lot about what they know, you know what I mean, like performance history or whatever, just passion, stuff like that. And so it was just an eclectic group, and everybody was very good at what they were into, and it was very inspiring to be around that.
It was like the ultimate passion project. I feel like it's very hard for anybody to know everything about everything, and also nobody really likes people who claim to be a know-it-all about everything. But if you can bring a group together where they're like, I really know this and I want to learn about what you have your knowledge in, and we can all
be a sponge,
basically almost be like the kids from Captain Planet, like with our powers combined.
Oh my god,
you know.
But yeah, there was a lot of stories and history being told. One of my favorites is one that I hope to be able to tell soon, hopefully on this show or whatever, this video segment. But the way that EVA ended up becoming a thing in footwear is, I think, incredible, because it came from a place where you would never have guessed. It was not a thought. It was more of somebody saw something, was just like, I wonder if this would work in a shoe. And like I was sitting there being like, why does nobody know this? So yeah, but basically we all met up. We met at TEDx HQ in downtown Portland. First off, that building on the outside was really weird, and then on the inside it was really cool. The bathroom, the wallpaper was covered in comic books.
I went to the restroom and I came out and I went and found him, and I was just like, hey, before we leave this building, you need to make sure you use the restroom. And he's just like, oh, why? Has it got a bidet? And I was like, no, like, go check out this restroom.
Typical me, never being serious. So, but yeah, it was, the bathroom was awesome. From there, we all, like as a group, went over to Nike, and we had a day. None of it we can talk about. I really hope maybe one day we can, but that's not up to us. That's up to somebody else. I don't hope that we can talk about it. I hope that everybody can experience what we experience. That's what I hope. Because it's one thing for us to like explain things, but like I just wish that like people can like do it. But one of the people that I met, is to say that he's an idol like really like doesn't do it justice. I don't know if you guys know who Ernest Kim is, but most of the people on the internet that had read reviews, like real reviews, performance reviews way back in the day, remember Kixology.net. The guy that ran it was Professor K. I met Professor K. I went up to him, I shook his hand, I introduced myself. He already knew who I was, which was weird. And I had just said simply, thank you. Without you, I would not be doing what I'm doing. And he tried to downplay it and everything, but like it's for real. So for what I've done on YouTube, where I was the first channel to bring performance, there was reviews on sneakers. There's OGs like Sneak Geeks, DJ Dells, Franelations, Sticky 213, JStar 25, stuff like that. So there was like OGs in this, but nobody really talked about like the way that the shoes were on court, which is what my main interest was performance as somebody that played basketball. And so that's where I kind of like, I just inserted myself in there and I took a chance, and here we are 14 years later. But the person that did that first, while it wasn't in video format, it was in written form, was Ernest Kim, Professor K. So like he was the reason why I picked up the camera, because I was looking for his website and it was gone. And like I was like, where did this guy go? Turns out he works at Nike now. So like you can't have that conflict, you know what I mean? That conflict of interest. So like what ended up happening is, I believe Soul Collector bought Professor K's website. So their performance reviews on their website that were written by Nick DePaula were under this label called Kixology. Nick did a good job of kind of like mimicking the style, where it was a lot of history plus performance, which is different than my videos. The videos are, when they're a performance review, they're only about the performance of the shoe. When it's a regular review of a retro or whatever, even just a performance shoe like a new model, that's where the history, so it's kind of like segmented in a way. So anyways, I met Professor K. To be able to say thanks meant a lot just to me personally, and that wouldn't have been possible without meeting Aaron Cooper. Can you tell a story of how that happened?
I can't remember which video it was. It was obviously, it had to do with a shoe that he had created at one point, and Chris just happened to see that Aaron Cooper had made an Instagram account. And so he always loves to let people know, especially if he knows who the designer is behind a shoe, whether it's a retro or a newer one.
Sometimes you don't know. It's difficult to know.
It's very hard to find out these things, or sometimes we find out a titch too late. But if he knows, it definitely goes in the videos. And so again, like I said, I can't remember what shoe we were talking about, but he was just like, this was designed by Aaron Cooper. And he said, as a side note, Aaron Cooper just came back or just started being on Instagram, you guys should go and follow him. As the internet works, people tagged Aaron Cooper and let him know, like, hey, you were in a WearTesters video. And so Aaron reached out to Chris, being like, hey, thank you for like letting people know I designed that. I would love to do something with you guys. And so that's how we ended up making that video that Chris was giving a call back to earlier.
Yeah,
and
the Pippin 2. I was already going to do the video.
Yes.
But then I was like, can you be on this with me and like explain things?
And so from there, like I said, Aaron gave us a lot of his time. And by the end of it, he was just like, if you're ever in the area, like you have to come for dinner. And then we're like, yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, like, when are we going to be in Portland?
Right?
You know what I mean?
It's like an 8-hour drive. We're not just going to happen to be in the neighborhood.
It's way more than that.
Couple weeks later, we get an email saying, hey, I'm trying to put a group of people that I think could come together and do something really wonderful. Would you guys be a part of it? And so all of a sudden,
I initially wanted to say no.
And I sat there and I was just like, you have to do it.
Yeah. The way that YouTube has worked and comments and stuff like that has messed with me like mentally quite a bit. So like I try to stay away from everything. I stay off of social media usually. I don't go to press events anymore. Every once in a while, like somebody will talk me into going. They'll be like, oh, you got to do this one. This one's going to be fun. And they always say that. And like I'm always like, it's never fun. Like it's a lot of work and you don't get paid for it, and they expect you to do all this other stuff, and they, like I said, they don't pay you for it. And so like there's just so much stuff where I was just like, I don't want to do this, and she made me do it. And I was like, well, can you come then, because now you're the editor where you weren't before. So when I would go on media trips, I'd be by myself and stuff, but this time I was like, you actually are an employee, so let's like do that. And so that way I had like somebody, so that my anxiety didn't like run amok, and even though it did. But anyway, so that's kind of what happened. And then we get to a point to where, again, I can't talk about it. Well, that just sucks, because I would love to talk about but I will say that I did see the Air movement up tempo in the colorway that I had as a kid, and that was a big slap in the nuts of like nostalgia. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, you remember this? Fucking A, I do. So yeah, it was.
That sounds painful. Like
just
a
nice
great
little
memory.
love tap. A nice little love tap of like a little remember. Like boom. It was just awesome to see them in such pristine condition too. Like I was just like, this is sick. Fast forward to the evening, and we're at Aaron Cooper's house of all places. Talk about paying for things out of pocket. He paid for a lot of stuff out of pocket. He paid for all the food and everything. So again, thank you so much for everything. Like seriously. Okay, so first off, I meet Aaron Cooper
In person,
yes, not just through like video.
Zoom and stuff.
Right. Then I meet Professor K. What the And then I'm in the middle of eating, and I think you were sitting next to me.
I was.
And I was talking to Chad, actually, of all people. So like I'm sitting there talking to Chad, and then Steve, he
busts through the back doors.
I want to say that this
Can I tell his story?
Yes. I just want to say though, it seems like an exaggeration, but in the moment, it really did feel like this.
Yeah. So he was at the front of the house chatting it up with people inside. Everybody had kind of like gone their own ways to like eat their food. And he was at the front of the house, and in comes Tinker Hatfield. He's just like, oh my gosh. And he says hello, of course. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, excuse me, I have to use the restroom. And so he leaves.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he leaves and he's just like, I did not have to use the restroom. And he just books it for the backyard because he's just like, it's important that I meet him, but it's even more important that Chris meets Tinker. And so he comes out and he's just like, you gotta get inside. You gotta get inside right now.
This guy was yelling at me. He's like, bro, Tinker's here. I was like, shut up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he was like, no, seriously. I was like, quit around, man. And then so I get up and I walk inside, and I had been in the same room as Tinker one time before this, but I out from meeting him. So it was during the Air Jordan 29 event. Tinker was in that activation and stuff like that. Like that was an incredible weekend in and of itself. They introduced the Air Jordan 29, this, that, and the other, and then all media gets to go to this back room, which is the activation where all the shoes are like kind of blown up and you can do all your B-roll and your imagery. And Tinker was in there, and everybody was going up to him, having him sign stuff and all this. And like I was just like, I am such a shy person, believe it or not, but yeah, and so like I just couldn't do it. Told that story during lunch, not knowing that Tinker was going to be there. And so Aaron in the back of his head is like, you know what I mean? Like he's like, oh, this guy's gonna shit himself. I almost did. So like all of a sudden Tinker's in front of me, and I'm just sitting there being like, what the am I even gonna say? I put out my hand, I say, hi, I'm Chris. I'm a big fan. He knew again who I was, and like Aaron was like, yeah, he's from WearTesters. He's like, yeah, I know. And like I'm like, how do you know this? And then of all the other things I could say to this guy, it still makes me mad that I said this. So I said, I sent you an email once and you replied. And he was like, well, yeah, I do that. That was what I said. I didn't say thank you. I didn't say I love whatever. I didn't say, and that was literally what I said. And I was like, well, me in the ass. Like that's what I'm thinking inside my brain. And then she interrupted it and was just like, why don't you guys take a picture? I'm fucking sweating, bro. It was hot as over there. I know that I'm from Sacramento and stuff, but like, and it's hot there too. It was like we didn't even leave.
It was matching.
Yes.
It was exactly the same. I was looking forward to a little bit of rain, maybe.
Right, a little bit of Portland
gusts
weather.
Of wind.
Yeah.
Overcast the entire time, and we got none of that.
So, I met Tinker. I took a picture of him, or not of him, with him. That's what I'm saying. See, I get stupid sometimes, and like my brain is going, my mouth can't keep up, or vice versa. And it was just
you didn't even finish the picture part, so I said, let me get a picture of you guys. And it's funny because Aaron is very humble too, because I was like, Aaron, get in. And he's like, me? And I was like, yes, of course you. And so because I gotta get Chris with two of his favorite people.
Legends.
Chris goes, I'm all sweaty. And Tinker says,
he was just like, it's okay, I like sweaty guys, because he works with athletes, and he grabs me over the shoulder, and I was like, this motherfucker's touching me.
He's touching
you know what I mean?
me.
Like, and I was just like, man, this is like, this guy created some of the best shoes in the world.
I was just thinking about how weird it must be for Tinker, because you're talking about him going to these events and him getting swarmed. Again, at this party that we're at, he ended up getting a bunch of people around him at like ripping their shoes off their feet. Steve ripped the shoes off of his wife's feet because she was wearing
Hirachis.
Yes, and so they wanted, stuff to be signed. So that's something where he goes from being like the most popular person in a room, but at the same time, I bet you he can like go places and nobody.
Right.
And it reminds me of you, as in the sense where we run into people who do know who you are, but then you can also go like big stints where nobody knows. And
it's amazing.
Yeah, so.
Not that I mind it. Like, I just met this kid in Walmart. I think his name was Caleb. I'm bad with names. But he was so sweet and nice, and I was just surprised that somebody young was watching me. And so I was just like, oh, wow, you watch the videos? And so, so I appreciate everything.
There are certain celebrities in life where obviously they can't go anywhere.
Right.
Without being bombarded.
I think that's the thing, is that I'm not a celebrity.
Well, and Tinker probably doesn't think he's a celebrity, but he is obviously somebody very important in his field. And so if you know, you know.
Right.
But otherwise, if you don't, like, he's just some guy walking down my street.
Right. I was wearing my white cement 4s, which I'm wearing right now, and I had undead stocked these for the trip. This was my second pair of these. But yeah, so I was wearing these the whole day, and then as most of you guys know, 4s are not the most comfortable, especially these older ones where they don't have the good insoles.
And they killed his pinky toe.
They obliterated that motherfucker. And so I ended up changing into my lost and found 1s, because 1s for me are comfortable. They're like a neutral, almost like a barefoot shoe. So I'm at this thing, and like everybody, like she was saying, was like taking shoes either out of their bags, or because some people had to like leave right after the dinner and everything, or they're taking them off their feet. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, Peter Moore designed these, not Tinker. And so like I'm like, and that was the second thing that I messed up on, because I was trying to bring this magazine because I wanted Aaron to sign it because he's in it. This magazine right here is the first time that these designers were put on.
Were recognized.
Right. Like Avar, Tinker. Tinker had been in like interviews and stuff before this, like on TV and everything, but not the other guys, not Coop or Avar and stuff. So this was the first time that they got recognized for real by the people that buy their product. And so I wanted to bring that magazine, and I forgot it. And then there was the second chance to get something signed, and I wasn't wearing them. And so I'm just a walking up at this point, but it was just such a weird, cool, surreal, empowering, inspiring, fun trip. I'm just very grateful that I had the opportunity to be a part of and have you be there. It was just nice to have somebody there to like bounce off of a little bit, like somebody that you know what I mean, like personally, not somebody that you know but just met. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, so like it was just one of those moments where like, what the So, which then again revolves back to like, you know, ending this video and everything. And there was a question presented to us while we were there during the roundtable setting where everybody was asked, how did you get here? You were able to tell your story. Most of everybody told their stories, actually. There's only a select few that didn't. I was one of the ones. They kept looking at me, but like, it's very hard for me to answer those questions. The type of person that I tried not to focus on myself. I focus on the work. I normally don't give myself like pats on the back and stuff like that, because if I start to really like look back and things like that, then like I get really like choked up and all that stuff, just because like I'm really not supposed to be here. And I don't mean like just like here, like just in general, like it's like every birthday I'm like surprised I'm alive, you know what I mean? And so like it's one of those things. And so the question is presented, my initial response is like, well, basketball is the reason why I'm here, because if I wasn't into basketball, I wouldn't have been made fun of for my shoes, or even though I probably would have actually, because I wore Payless shoes. Basketball was the main reason and stuff, but then I start to like, my mind opens to like everything. You know what I mean? And so it's like how far back do you go, and how do you tell that without it seeming like a sob story or whatever? But it's really just like everything that happens to someone in their lifetime is like how they end up in the position either that they're in now, or the type of person that they end up becoming. I grew up where my dad left when I was really young. My mom overdosed and died, but was somehow revived, but I was taken from that and then put into her uncle's home for a while. And then I was able to go back and live with her, and we're poor as like I joke around about this all the time, even though it's not really funny, but like when you joke around, it's because like so up, you either have two options. You could laugh about it or you could cry about it, you know what I mean? And so like I usually will laugh about it, but we used to eat spaghetti with ketchup and butter, like that was the meal. And we were in a 1-bedroom apartment, and like that poster was in my room and shit like that. And so like there's just stuff that when you ask me a question like that, like just too much comes back, the things that I usually like block out and like don't focus on. And so like it makes me overwhelmed, and it makes it so that I can't talk. Like I'll start crying, and like I don't want to cry. So my life was weird, and so it's even weirder, if you could believe that, now, because like, you know, I talk about shoes for a living. That's weird. I was always told that I was not going to be by people that are supposed to be the ones that uplift you. So I was always like really like held down and everything, and it wasn't until I got away from all of that that I started really like I just worked my ass off. So like I don't know how I got here is basically the answer. Like it's like I can attribute it to things like basketball. I can thank Professor K. I can say hi to Tinker or thank Aaron Cooper, but it's a multitude of reasons. Like I made a video at the right time is really what it is, you know what I mean? Like for whatever reason I picked up a camera when I did, and
so out of character.
Trust me, it really is. I'm such a shy person. Like I don't talk to people really. Like I'm really introverted, and I don't know, because like I didn't have really friends at that time. Like my best friend passed away, and so like I don't have people to talk to like that about things. So maybe that's why I picked up the camera in a subconscious way, to connect with people that were like me, because the only person I'd talk about shoes with was you,
which was part of my story that I shared there.
Right, but like you know that she doesn't want to listen to this all day long, you know what I mean? She's like, I get it, you like Jordans, like it really was a collection of some of the best minds that you can get. So I'm so grateful. I'm so happy to have experienced it with the people that I did, and I really hold everybody in like really high regard. Yeah, and I hope that you like this video. This video is so long.
Yeah, sorry about that. Like we said from the beginning, we're gonna like figure this all out with you guys.
We'll fine tune it and stuff. But
there's so much we didn't even get to cover. Like,
oh yeah.
So hopefully we can talk about that next time.
But either way, I just really appreciate you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this. Hopefully we can keep doing it. Just let us know in the comments, and we will catch you guys on the next one. And by next one, I mean the next review. We'll do at least a few of these and see how they go. So thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate you guys. So we will catch y'all on the next one. Peace.